The time is 6 o'clock. Good evening, Tewksbury. I'm calling the meeting of the Tewksbury Board of Health to order. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be available for public viewing. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so let the record show that all members are present. And so the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our last meeting on October 17th, 2024. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I didn't have any.
Okay.
I'm good.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second?
That's the second, that.
Okay, so the motion, it has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from October 17th, 2024. All right, so next. Next would be the continued public hearing. So tobacco sales to minors, violations occurred during annual compliance check. Shannon, would you like to,
I make a motion
Sure.
to go into a public hearing.
hold on.
So we sent a follow-up letter after no one showed up to our meeting last time, and that was mailed on October 18th. Someone signed the green card and was returned to us with the date of October 21st. And since then, we sent 2 follow-up emails to remind them to appear before the meeting tonight.
Okay. Is anyone here present from the Petro? Yes. Okay, would you like to come forward? Or do we have to? Yeah, so I'd like you to state your name
Vivek Bhanushali,
and your address,
630 Princeton Boulevard.
and then just sign that sheet for me, please.
I have a pen.
Oh, there's no pen on there. Thank you.
Take a seat.
Can you confirm what your position is at the petrol station?
Manager.
You're the manager? Okay.
To the chair, could you have him pull?
Yeah, can you pull a little bit closer? Thank you. So can you explain what occurred? And, because from my understanding, and Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, was that there was a motion to be heard in front of the board, so.
So basically, like, my father was there, I went to the bank, it was a 10-minute thing, he don't work there. And between that period of time, he sold to a minor. I'm ready to pay the fine. The only thing I'm requesting is a payment plan or something, like I can do 3 payments or 2 payments. I have to pay the fine from my pocket. I'm ready to pay the fine.
So you were here, may I?
Yes, absolutely.
So
'cause-
you were here at the first meeting
Yes.
Yeah,
2 months ago?
Yep.
yes, it was 2
2
months
months
ago.
ago.
And you, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I remember you saying you weren't going to be with this branch anymore after a couple months, is that correct?
No, like they were going to transfer me, but they sold the other branch, so they're keeping me at the same branch.
Okay, that's good clarification. I believe we voted that it has to come from the business itself, it can't come from you.
Yeah, but the agreement with them, like it's a management company I work for, I don't work for directly Petro Oil. Petro Oil gave the management to somebody I work for, and with him, the contract says employee has to pay, it's their responsibility.
So are you an employee or are you the general manager?
I'm the employee and a manager at the same time. I run the store.
You run the store?
Yeah.
But you're not the owner of that position?
So this is where we get into, at least in my head. George, I think you're on the same page as me. We went over this last time. The fine is against the business itself. If they want to, subrogate and go through you after the fact,
Yeah.
that's between you and the business,
Oh, okay.
which is why we've been trying to get in touch with them for this hearing. Seems like they're getting the message, but then sending you along to put you in this position.
Yes.
Right. So you run the business, but you have an overseer, is that correct? You have your boss that pays the bills
Yep.
and pays the bills for Petro. Okay. You don't pay those bills.
No.
Okay. That is the person I believe should be here in front of us.
Yep.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, the last time you were here, we had discussed that there would need to be some type of documentation stating that you are liable of that. And then
Well, they have
the
a
whole,
con- they have
because the
a
whole thing
contract.
is like, I personally want to know, okay, what's going to happen moving forward to ensure that this isn't going to happen
Correct.
again and again and again, and then having just an employee, because if they are the owners and they are managing you and they are managing the managers, then technically they need to have a policy in place of how this isn't going to occur again. Because,
So now they have an upgraded system that won't allow us without scanning the ID
okay,
for sale
when did this occur?
a month ago.
Does anyone have any comments?
I'm just trying to figure out why someone that doesn't even own the business, you just run the business, why are you financially responsible for the fine? That doesn't make any sense. It's not fair. Sorry.
Because it was under my responsibility.
And I can see that. However, you had
I'm just doing it
mentioned,
because of my job. I just want to keep my job.
yes.
And
Well, we can't be his,
George, your
Right,
mic's off.
yeah,
obviously, we cannot be his lawyer.
Correct.
That's the key for us.
yeah.
But we can, I mean, I don't want to keep this thing going, but we can,
No.
but we can tell them we want him here. I mean, but anyways.
Because I would want to know, like, this is my stance on it. I would want to know, A, what they're doing and not coming from an employee that may or may not be there a month from now. Someone who is taking on the responsibility and because here's the thing. Yes, I can see where it was your responsibility and you left, but if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned that you had called your boss
yes,
and they told you that that was okay.
yes, they did.
So that's that grayish line.
Yeah, the responsibility for this fine doesn't fall on you, it falls on the business owner, and that's the person who needs to come in and pay this fine. And
Yes.
I think we're all pretty understandable about that.
So it has to come from the business.
Yeah. If they
I
want
mean,
to,
if they want to charge you, but they have to come in front of the board if they want to. They don't have to if they don't want to, because technically, this was a hearing that was requested for that, but the fine needs to be paid.
But they don't want to come and they ask my manager who pays me because they have a contract with them. They don't have no responsibility. So
they may
Yeah.
not have responsibility for your actions, but they're responsible for the actions of their business. This fine is against the action of their business,
Correct.
and therefore
Against
they're
you.
responsible for that, not you.
If whatever they want to do on the backside, if you have to pay them, that's legalities
You and their
between you and the
manager,
business.
yeah.
However, the business needs to pay the fine because the fine is for the business.
Oh, okay. So it has to be a business check.
So that needs to be if they don't want to and they want to come in front of the board, they can request that, but the fine needs to be paid. And since it hasn't been paid, that is something that we're going to have to move forward with.
Okay.
I have a few questions.
Yes.
Your manager, I'm trying to get it straight. You work for a management company, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And so Petrol hired that management company to run their business.
So neither yourself or the management company have any ownership
No.
with Petrol? You make no commissions or anything? You're
No.
just straight?
Just straight
Okay.
salary for.
So I agree with what you're saying, is they need to come in here and sit. And if you want to pay them because you feel that you should, then you do that. But we need to have the owner in front of us, or whoever writes the check for Petrol
Okay.
in front of us, who's going to pay that check. And I understand how you feel being an employee, but it's not going to cut it for the board.
So we can direct our department to only take a check. I mean, he can come and bring it, but it cannot be in his name.
Correct, that's the name of the.
That's my concern.
So if I could, the check goes to the clerk's department, so we don't get the check at the health department.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I think, so,
So I think, and I'll make a motion after I explain.
Yes.
I think that we should close the hearing. The fines will stay in place as due. If they wish to request further discussion, I think they should be allowed to do so.
We suspended it though, so we're putting it in now, so they got 30 days to pay, correct?
Correct, that's
Excellent,
right.
excellent.
correct.
All right, so I'm going to make that motion, and we can vote. I'd like to make a motion to close this hearing, post the fine, 30 days from today is when it should be due.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I think the one thing we're missing is something showing us what your concern is, that there's some sort of procedure or process to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And if they've done some updating to the systems, then that should be in writing somewhere. We should have something tangible. Do you agree?
Along with the fine.
And then with, that's what I'm feeling.
You said that they installed a scanner for IDs?
Yeah.
Has
like-
that, Shannon, has that been verified yet?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, want to make it,
yeah, go ahead.
let's finish that
Motion?
motion and then let's do another one.
All right, so yeah, so I'm going to make a motion to close this meeting and make the fine due within 30 days. And that has to be done by the business or business owner on behalf of the business.
I second that motion.
All right, the motion has been put forward and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Anyone opposed? I hear none, so that passes unanimously.
I make a motion that the company sends documentation that they've updated their system to be able to read an ID. I really don't know what else to phrase it.
Okay, there's been a motion. Anyone second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair is also in favor, so that motion has been also put forward and approved. So we are going to close the meeting.
One thing.
Yes.
Can we just agree that that can be in writing to the health department? That doesn't have to be in the form of
Correct.
coming to it?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll put that down.
Just for
Yep, so
record.
for clarification, meeting is closed, payment due in the next 30 days by the business owner, and with written, it can be written documentation to the health department stating what their policy and procedure is, and that they do have this system in place.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a
good
great
night.
night.
You too, guys. Thank you.
All right, so.
Next.
Next is new business, which is the 2025 meeting calendar dates. So last meeting, the dates that were on were incorrect. They were from 2024. So now we should have the correct 2025 meeting calendar dates in our packet. So we get to vote on that. Maybe,
Just on page 2 of your handouts.
yes. Okay. So do I hear a motion to approve these next meetings for 2025?
I make a motion that we approve the 2025 meeting calendar dates entered into the record.
Okay,
And I second.
all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none. Chair in favor as well, so this has been put forward. That has been approved. Okay. Old business, reports from the Health Department. So we have Shannon online. Thank you.
All right, so we are in the food permit renewals still. They have to be in by December 1st, and currently we're still waiting on 41 establishments to renew their permit. I know I had sent an email, and we have 5 of them on hold, and some of them are due to some Serve Safe certificates that we have required, because they're selling food that needs to be temperature controlled, such as milk and eggs. And then Lisa had emailed in the system, everybody who submitted the paperwork last year would be on file. So the emails went out October 2nd, October 23rd, November 12th, and November 18th. She plans on sending another email on the 25th. However, in the past, if people don't renew on time, we make them pay a double fee. And their permit is good until the end of December, so they would still be operating with a permit. But per the food code, they have to be in 30 days before. So she hasn't made any phone calls yet, but that would probably be our next step. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that?
No, I would just like to commend you on the online system because it worked really well, and I appreciated that.
Thanks. So as far as the email that I sent for like stores with just milk and eggs, the board had passed a regulation requiring everybody at a food establishment to have a Serve Safe or a food safety certificate at all times. And we are getting some pushback from some stores that sell like minimal milk and eggs. So I'm kind of looking for guidance from the board if you believe that is something we should require.
If I may, I don't. And the reason why I don't is because when you're talking about the smaller stores, CVS or just family-owned stores, even Market Basket, you have the distributor that comes in, and they're the ones that come in every week, or there's a schedule, they take out the old and put in the new. They're responsible. It's, you know, you'd end up having to have people at Market Basket or the bigger stores be Serve Safe because it's the same thing. So I really don't think it lies on the employees or the owner of the small stores. It's the company that distributes the food. That's what I believe.
I just have one question. Is there anything currently showing that there are temperature checks being done, and have there been any issues with that, with the refrigeration?
There hasn't been any, but we had like a business change ownership for like 2 gas stations, and we required them to submit Serve Safe, so which was like a bit of a learning experience for them. And I understand because the class is like a lot more involved than just holding temperatures at 40 degrees and looking at expiration dates, which is really all they would be doing.
Right. Does the board have any other comments?
No, I think I believe that it does not fall with them. The thing that does fall with them is that you check to ensure that they know what they're supposed to be doing. But I don't think they should be Serve Safe certified.
Yeah.
I would only ask our department head what she recommends.
Your mic.
I would recommend them not having one unless we run into issues.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say is that just providing education to ensure that they understand the temperatures, but is that something that we would then have to modify the current regulation? Shannon?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Oh. Can you hear us now?
Well, we're not saying anything.
Yeah, can't hear us.
Yeah, I don't think we'd have to change that. We just ask
Okay.
to, for them to be not saying it right, sorry.
Can you hear us, Shannon?
No.
We're having some technical difficulties. Please hold.
I think we can have the department send something out
Yeah,
between meetings. I don't think we need to have a vote on that. I think
correct.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Because they have to get their permits anyway every year, so maybe it's just a piece that goes with that
Like a
period.
notification or something.
Right.
Notification,
That goes
education
with the
thing, yes.
permitting process.
We
No, I
don't
don't
have
think
to
we have
take
to
a
vote.
vote, we just leave it as
Nope.
is right now. Thank you.
correct. Yep.
Because I hear serve safe, and I think restaurant, automatically.
Yes.
Automatically
Yep.
restaurant, so.
Oh. So we'll post, while we're figuring out Shannon's technical difficulties, because I know she has more things to say on her reports. Hopefully, she's back. Maybe,
Should we have to get up and go back in?
so that she can she finish, can you hear us?
No.
Nope.
Nope. She may have
I
to.
can't hear you.
Okay. She can't hear us. So
Write it down.
we're gonna move to the next for subcommittee reports while they try and figure this out.
Okay.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
All right. So subcommittee reports. That would be Tewksbury Cares. Is there any nuances?
Yes, unfortunately, I can't give as much time to Tewksbury Cares as it deserves. And then in looking it over, to me, I'm trying to figure out why it's with the health department. Because a lot of the information that I'm seeing here has a lot to do with the schools and the other parts of the community. So I'm thinking, maybe this is something that should be pushed over to possibly the school committee to take over.
So it's a Board of Health, from my understanding, it's a Board of Health initiative. So that is why it currently stays with
Shannon, can you hear me?
Yes.
the Board of Health.
He's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that it's currently within the Board of Health. So I guess my question to the board members would be, is anyone willing and open to looking at the Tewksbury Cares and taking it on?
One of my suggestions, I think we should all look at it, because one of my suggestions was that maybe it does sound like it doesn't belong with the, I know we initiated it, but it doesn't sound like it belongs on this board. And we're not saying this because we don't want to do it, it's just that there's things in there that it doesn't feel like it belongs here. The thought was to maybe pull together other parts of the community after we've taken a look at it and scrap it. Look at what the items in it that were the most important things that they were working on then, because it hasn't been worked on in years.
Not for quite
So-
some time.
Since
So we can
COVID.
pull out the things that were most important to the community, and then pull together a group of people, which we would engage with maybe other boards to complete this, because I think it's much wider.
Yeah,
Madam Chair, if I could.
Yes.
I believe if I'm correct, the whole reason why we had it is actually because it has to be a nonprofit to apply for the grants that they can use with the police and the school, as opposed to doing it separately as a department, if you follow me. But anyways.
And
I'm not certain as to all the regulations and the behind the scenes. I do know that it was brought up by a previous chair and members that created that. I do know that it is like from the way it's written and everything, it is suggestive that it is the Board of Health's initiative. So what it would take to change it or remove it, I'm not certain. I'd have to look into that. Or we'd have to figure out if anyone knows that information off the top of their head. But I guess my thing would be if anyone would like to take a look at it and do it, and take that, initiative or any thoughts, and then move from there.
I think, first off, Chris, thanks for at least looking at it. I know it was a lot to take on. I think we should have some materials on that gathered in general, so we all know more about it, both the regulation side and the work that it was doing.
Yeah.
And we can, table this till next meeting.
Yeah.
Discuss about it further.
Yeah, so I would just recommend everyone taking a peek at it, and then, yeah, definitely looking to see, and I will see if I can find out any more information. I'll talk to the treasurer as well.
I don't think it would be bad to at least send an invite to include some members of other boards in town or other, departments.
Yeah. Strength in numbers, maybe.
All
There's got to
right,
be enough
'cause
smart
it's a
people
lot.
somewhere in this town.
It's a lot.
yeah. And thank you, Chris, for taking a look, because I do know from doing that for a full year, it unfortunately didn't move much forward. I think we had 1 or 2 people maximum showing up to the meetings. And so that was upsetting, to say the least, and it didn't really help with moving forward. So I do appreciate you taking the initiative. All right, so we'll do that. So we still don't have Shannon. So next on the agenda is fluoride discussion. So with this, I have 1 second.
is it possible to FaceTime her?
I don't know.
I mean, she could just turn the meeting on live.
Yeah. So we're going to be discussing the topic of fluoride in the town's water supply, particularly in light of recent research and regulatory updates concerning potential neurotoxic effects, including impacts on children's cognitive development. So that's been something that's been in the news, on some articles, back and forth. So I just wanted to go over, review the discussion of fluoride in the public water supplies. So members were provided with some studies, research findings, summaries ahead of the meeting, and some of them highlighted concerns from recent links between fluoride exposure and developmental neurotoxicity, associating prenatal and early childhood fluoride exposure with lower IQ scores in children, and there is an ongoing debate about the safety of fluoride levels in public water supplies. So today's discussion will focus on these findings and whether the board should take further steps, such as scheduling a public hearing or recommending additional investigation. So I'd like to open it up. The floor is now open for discussion for the board members to share any thoughts or questions. And as a reminder, we're going to go one by one. So I'm going to start with you, if you'd like.
Sure. So, you just know I like going first. So I looked into this when we discussed about putting this on the agenda. As at least my fellow board members know, I'm a numbers guy. So I looked into this. I actually pulled the full 100-page article from the National Toxicity Program through I believe it's the NIH, right?
Yes.
And I looked through it, I read through it. I ended up looking a couple lunches this week at a bunch of stuff. The The most recent version of this report, and I think the one that was sent out is last year's version, 22-23. I pulled the 2024 version, which includes like one more additional thing, so it doesn't change much of the information if you focused on the 2023 one. I'm going to get close here with numbers because I'm memorizing from a couple days ago. It was about 70, 72, I think, studies that they looked at over the past 20 years. They earmarked about, I think it was 19 that were high tolerance and high validity in terms of looking at the risk and looking at both the quality of the research. Those 19 studies were done in countries including China, Canada, Mexico, Iran, and I think Pakistan as well, just so that folks at home know where these numbers are coming from. They did find that when fluoride has a parts per million or milligrams per liter measurement of 1.53 milligrams per liter, that there were significant measurable differences in child IQ, in case anyone...
Might you speak up a little more?
Yeah, sure, sorry. How are you doing? I have a lot in front of me, so I'm trying to not sound like word soup, so I'll try to speak up. You like that? So there is a significant difference. What I saw in one of the studies, that was one of the ones marked highly credible, was something between a 3 and 4 point IQ shift in some of these nations with fluoride levels above 1.53 milligrams per liter. Now, Massachusetts state standards, which I believe you also had in here, is 0.7, so it's much lower. And they also had other studies, not that particular one, but other ones that showed different levels of fluoride in the water. The lower the level, the significance goes away. So it appears that this tends to prove that too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. In my opinion, after looking through this, Massachusetts state levels is pretty okay in terms of the ability. Obviously, we need more studies with inside the nation or at similar places that have that. I know the EU has similar level requirements. I also brought the 2021 Consumer Confidence Report from the Water Department. In there, it has, which I believe was distributed to us
Correct.
in March?
Yes.
Not March, it would have been after I started. In April or
April or
June.
May.
Something like that. Anyways, in there, they have the fluoride levels for Tewksbury. The highest level marked in 2021 was 0.78, so we're a little bit higher, but right around the ballpark for what we're supposed to be at, which is good. The other thing I wanted to point out, just for people who are worried about the economic side of this, the CDC has all over their page on this. I have an article from 2013, which I'll be happy to send into the department so people can have it online with the agenda. That explains the cost benefit of having fluoride in the water. When fluoride is in the water at appropriate levels, individuals see a cost savings of about $32 a year. That was in 2013, so just adjusted with inflation, that's about $43.60 now per person in each household. And that accounts for things, basically dental costs. That's what that offsets, in case anyone's curious. So that's all the information I have.
Thank you.
Next.
Chris, do you have any questions, comments,
That was a
concerns?
lot. That was a lot to take in, but thank you for doing all that work, the research, Luke. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, I have to say, I truly understand why we initially used it, and it had a huge impact on the health of our children and adults. But you're right, when it comes to the levels, we have to be really cautious, because from a lot of the reports that we're looking at, if it's too high, then it does make a difference and the IQs of the children. So it's a matter of figuring out what that number is and how do we ensure that the town doesn't go above that number.
George, you want to say anything?
And one other thing, I'm sorry. There also, the other difference is back then, we didn't have the toothpaste that we have now. So now the toothpaste that people are using has a lot of fluoride in it. It has a lot more than what we had before we had no fluoride in our water. So you take that into consideration as well. And I worry about too much fluoride.
Thank you. George?
I'm not quite a numbers guy. My concern is that, you know, to be honest with you, I mean, how,
Your mic's
Your
off.
mic.
I know, I keep doing that just in case I say something or whatever and make a noise, you know? And then I'm not quite the numbers guy. I'm more a combination of, you know, there's a lot of things you can't figure out, and what I don't base it on my gut, but what I base it on is when I look myself in the mirror and say, wait a minute, we got way too many people sick in this country. You know, and you wonder, I mean, is it just fluoride? No, but the thing is, I mean, this is my concern. We have 351 towns and cities in Massachusetts, and only 120 have fluoride in the water. I mean, I'm leaning to get rid of it. Just being honest with you.
Okay. So my concern is the total amount of fluoride exposure, particularly children are experiencing. So yes, while the recommended level of fluoride is 0.7, it doesn't account for the fluoride from other sources such as toothpaste, like you mentioned, processed foods, beverages, dental treatments, everything else, how much water they are drinking, the water that they're putting in the formula and all of that. So I think we need to understand whether the combined exposure of these sources is exceeding safe levels and potentially increasing a risk for health issues like dental fluorolysis or developmental neurotoxicity. There are vulnerable populations. I do believe that, with certain things that have come up with, dentistry and people understanding the importance of flossing, brushing teeth. Those are very important. Too much fluoride can also create those lines on the teeth that has been shown in some of the studies as well. So again, this discussion isn't to say like, yes, let's remove it.
Right.
I believe that we should listen to the town and see what they think, what their concerns are, if they do have any concerns, if they would like to remove it, and kind of do a public hearing. That would be what I would suggest if everyone was on board with that, to do that of a public hearing and then decide on what the further steps would be. I do know that there have been recently towns that have recently decided to remove fluoride due to the emerging concerns. So Yorktown, New York, I did not look at their numbers and what I will put it out there that I did not look at to see what their fluoride levels were. And to your extent of the studies being done outside of the country, I do understand that, but many studies, from my understanding of, are done outside the country because they are not funded to be done here, and so it's a lot easier for them to do the studies elsewhere, which I think is a shame because I do believe that we should be able to do studies more here in the U.S., the most chronically ill population in the entire world. So that is my stance. So I guess I'm going to put in a motion, or I would like to hear anybody's opinions or thoughts of what they would like to do next.
I think my concern is I would love to hear from the people of the town, but I also want to make sure that they have information and the proper information to make suggestions, and I'm not quite sure how we get that to them.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I think this deserves more discussion. I think it's good and prudent that we include members of town who wish to come and speak. Besides that, I think it's also important that we try to provide some education on this topic, both on the regulations of the state that we have above us, also the regulations that we currently have in town, so that people can have that. So I think there needs to be someone from the water department to come in and talk about that. I also think that it might be good that we get any state-level information we can get on water, on fluoride levels in water, that I think Shannon would be able to get for us. And we can talk to her and Lisa after the meeting, or if she's back.
I don't think she is.
No.
I don't think she can hear us.
Okay.
Okay.
Can let her know tomorrow. But that's my 2 cents.
I agree, because, I mean, if the townspeople need to speak, they need to, if this is something that they don't want, then they should definitely be here to talk about it, you know, but I agree, it's in our toothpaste, it's come a long way since a while.
Yeah. And the thing to note, that some of these towns that don't have the fluoride in their water, they do provide fluoride drops for the residents that do want to add it to their water because they feel safer and better. So that is always an option. It's not that it would be something that they couldn't do and they no longer have. They do have that, and that would be something that, of course, if this were to move forward, it would be a discussion, again, to have as well. So,
I'm all for it. I mean, my only concern is that, how do you phrase this? I mean, there may not be that many people come, but again, there could be a group that wants to keep it and a group that doesn't want to keep it, and they're going to bring, and why would you have a group? I don't know. All I'm saying is that this is part of the reason why I remember this, is that that's why the people vote us in, because we got to, in the final analysis, take their words and everything, and it falls on us to do what we believe in our soul and heart with the numbers. I mean, it depends. I mean, I just do our best effort.
yeah.
I agree with you. I think that, right, the call is ours, but I think, like some people have
I
said,
totally agree.
you know, we should at least hear the opinions.
Totally.
I also think we have a obligation to make sure that we're giving folks who want to come in and talk as much time as possible.
Yeah.
I think a timeline on this that's reasonable, and feel free to disagree with me, is we have some folks from the water department and the health department bring in some information on state and current regulations for the town, and then we can open public comment on the week after. That way people have time to look at it, especially people who might not be able to come to that first meeting. They'll have time to read through the documentation before it's up for discussion, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I think it's good to have that alongside, like, all the studies, good, bad, ugly, great, not so great studies, so everyone can make an informed decision and an educated decision on all the things that are out there, and not just one side or the other, but kind of look at both and in between. I think that's important as well. Okay, so
Do you want me to make a motion?
sure, I would love that.
I'd like to make a motion to invite the health department officials and at least one representative from the town's water department to come and discuss current regulations on water in general, but specifically fluoride in the water. Both the town's specific regulations and state regulations that we have to comply with, including recommendations for next meeting. And I'm just going to tack this on the end, and then, actually, you know what? Just do that. Just do that one.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
So there has been a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well. So that has moved forward and approved to next meeting. We will have set up, and I will make sure that Shannon is aware of this, since she can't hear us, that we'll have members of the health department and someone from the water department, and whoever else would like to come as far as state level to discuss water, fluoride in mainly.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have a second motion?
I do not have a second motion, but I'd like to make a note that we will more than likely have public discussion the following meeting, but we can vote on that next meeting, just to
Yeah,
keep it easy.
I would like that.
Excellent.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I think after that, I think it should, so people have the time to look at this one, next one, have the time to have all the information out there, and then come to a public meeting for the next one.
And we
Absolutely.
can kick the
it'd be
new year
January.
off strong,
Yeah.
you know?
Right, before next elections. Go out with a
I'm not up for reelection, I don't care.
Okay, so any other discussion on that? Okay, so we can close that. So next would be microblading updates.
Yes. So microblading is, it seems to be very popular everywhere, but we don't really have it here, except for maybe one spot. But what I did was I pulled together all the towns that do have it. I looked at all their guidelines. But then I pulled the Massachusetts latest guidelines, which is it was done in 2023. And basically, all of the guts of the regulations are all the same. And I think a lot of it includes everything that the board was concerned with regarding sterilization and opening, closing, everything that we had questions on. The only thing that we changed, or we would like to change, is to incorporate microblading into body art, making it basically the same thing. It's permanent cosmetic tattooing. So we would like to add that into the definitions. We also wanted to change a few things where, let me go into the education, sorry.
Take your time, you're doing great.
I have to get to the page. Practitioner training and experience. What we did here is we'd like to add microblading in where the board would consider experience not just with body art practitioners, but it would also include cosmetologists and estheticians. However, they would have added regulations to them, such as the bloodborne pathogen training programs, which includes the infectious disease control, waste disposal, hand washing techniques. There's a whole list of things that they would have to educate themselves on, as well as the CPR and the preventing disease transmission through the American Red Cross or other bloodborne training that they have. And the last thing was that they would have to do a 200-hour apprenticeship with a body art practitioner. So it's including microblading with body art, however, it's adding other stipulations that they have to follow in order to get their permits and licenses.
Was Shannon, did you hear anything? Was Shannon able to, was she?
So Shannon's listening on the
Okay.
live. It's a little bit of a delay, but she is hearing us in like delay form. And I'm going to try and communicate.
Okay, was she able to review them?
Yeah, she did. I think the only,
It was paying.
yes, the only discussion was changing the permitting, for permitting reasons to, instead of having the expire in 2 years from the date of insurance, because it makes it difficult when renewing permits, just to have the permit run for 1 year like every other permit, and have everyone's permit renewed on December 31st. So that way it would just always be on the December 31st.
And that makes perfect sense.
And that the fee could be changed to 200, good for 1 year, instead of 400, good for 2 years. So that way, it's constant.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
So I think that was the only modification that would support the health department as far as the date of issuance and expiration doing their permits. So that would be the one thing that we would modify. And if has everyone had a chance to look at this and review it? Any questions or comments from the board members?
I'm good with this.
Okay.
But like, we worked on it, so.
I know.
That's awesome.
Part of it, so he.
No, I thank you both for doing this. It's great. I think it's very detailed, it's very straightforward, it's understandable, like, it flows, so it's really great. So I think we can, if everyone is in agreement and doesn't have any concerns with that, I would does anyone want to make the motion to change that verbiage?
Can you note where that is in here? Because I haven't seen it. Or at least I'm missing, I remember seeing it, I just don't remember where it is.
Where it would
Didn't you
be.
write this?
Yeah, it's,
I didn't write this version
it's
of it.
10, it's 10, I don't have a page, but
It's
it's
10,
C, I believe.
C, yes,
Yes.
10C.
Oh, I was
Should
looking
know.
for
I'm sorry.
the fee. Do we have the fee in
Yeah,
here?
that's,
Because we have the term in 10C, but I don't see the fee.
Yeah, I don't see the fee either.
well,
We can just add that as well.
Right.
Correct.
The board shall set a reasonable fee for such permit. So I think that's a part,
All right, that's fine.
9E. The board shall set a reasonable fee for such permit?
yep.
So
There's
we
no
that's fine.
amounts
Yep.
there, so we
Yeah,
would
so we
just
can change
add it
that.
to that.
So we'll just, I
Okay,
think we can leave that off of amending that in here, but we can also just make a separate motion to make that fee that much.
okay. Yeah,
Because that pertains to multiple stuff.
Okay.
We don't box ourselves in 4 months and we tackle the next thing.
all right. So I will entertain a motion to change the verbiage.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, so so all those in favor, and I'm going to be clear, to change the verbiage on section 10C from "a practitioner permit shall be valid from the date of issuance and shall automatically expire in 2 years from the date of issuance unless revoked sooner by the board," and change that to
1 year. Just 1
the
year.
permitting run for 1 year, and the permit would be renewed on December 31st. So that, all those in
Okay.
favor say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Anyone opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well, so that moves forward. Okay. Now,
awesome job, let me say. Thank you very much.
thank you. So now, can I entertain, well, I will entertain a motion to approve, to change the fee to $200.
I
So
second.
moved.
So it's been moved and seconded by Susan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well. That has,
We still have to vote on the regulations, right?
yes. So now,
Sorry, I'm rushing you.
So now I will entertain a motion to approve the regulations of body art establishments with the amendments that were just approved to post.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hear none. Chair votes aye as well. This can be posted and stated. Perfect. So thank you both again for doing that. Much appreciated. All right. So, we still don't have Shannon, but I would like to, hold on, move to the
Correspondence?
reports. She does have, saying that she has sent the regulations to town council for review and invite the current body art establishments to comment if needed. So, so we're going to adjust the fee, which we already did, and then so now the regulations go to town council to review. So I guess that's what that happens next.
Great,
Okay,
thank you.
so, thank you, Shannon. Moving to the next one would be correspondence response from Congressman Seth Moulton. Is that you?
Yeah,
Okay.
would you like me to read that?
Yes, please.
Yes, this is good because we're talking about water, and we've been doing that. We've been talking about water since about May, so this, I had mentioned to the folks that I sent a lot of questions and different things to our elected officials, so I wanted to bring it back to the response of what our congressman is currently doing with regards to water. And he said, "Thank you for contacting me about protecting our nation's environment and ecosystems throughout the conservation of clean water. The protection of clean water from pollutants and other contaminants is crucial in ensuring the health of America's wildlife, communities, and economy. This is a crucial issue and only one that becomes more pressing as climate change progresses. Throughout my time in Congress, I have supported many pieces of legislation aimed at addressing various threats to our clean water from different angles. For example, co-sponsored H.R. 1915, the Water Quality Protection and Job Creation Act of 2021, which provided financial assistance to local communities in need of better infrastructure to protect their supply of water. Co-sponsored H.R. 1660, Stop the Sewage Over Act, and this is the one I was talking about with Congresswoman Trahan, which would revise the EPA's stormwater reuse municipal grant program to make it accessible to state and local governments. Co-sponsored H.R. 3267 to protect drinking water from PFAS Act, which would set national drinking water standards for PFAS contaminants while providing the EPA with enforcement mechanisms to ensure the health of our water supply. Per and poly, I'll pass on that one. Substances and a real danger to the long-term health of all communities and could be harmful aquatic species as well. Joined letters to increase funding for the Land and Water Conservation Fund for FY23 appropriations. We determined how much allocated funds for the following year. H.R. 1237, the Coast Research Act, which would provide an increased scientific research on ocean acidification by reauthorizing the Ocean Acidification Grant Program of the National Science Foundation, while also addressing the efforts of ocean and coastal acidification on marine organisms and ecosystems. Advocated for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration funding in numerous areas, including $45 million for observers and training, $68 million for habitat conservation and restoration, $179 million for fisheries data collections, surveys, and assessments in the FY22 appropriations package. I co-sponsored H.R. 2238, the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act, which would help to reduce our reliance on single-use plastics and provide consumer products and packaging from entering into animal food chains and waterways. According to the UN report, marine plastic pollution is affecting at least 267 species, including 86% of marine turtles, 44 seabirds, percentage of, and 43 of marine mammals. Also, this is the last one, H.R. 8044, the Sewage Treatment Overflow Prevention through Community Sanitation Outreach Act, which would require local governments to alert residents. This is another one that she did. Within 4 hours, in stormwater overwhelms sewage plants and carries sewage into rivers and watersheds. According to estimates from the Merrimack River Watershed Council, 6 urban treatment plants dumped 770 million gallons of untreated water into the Merrimack Valley in 2018. That's a major problem. 600,000 Bay Staters rely on the river as a source of drinking water, and the Merrimack River sustains sufficient fish, waterfowl, and songbird populations. More broadly, I've supported climate-focused regulations that would have a substantial positive impact on the health of oceans, lakes, and other waterways across the country. NOAA has found that the ocean absorbs large amounts of carbon dioxide, which has already caused many issues for marine and coastal wildlife. To address these concerns, I have been a strong proponent of renewable energy, co-sponsored the Energy Innovation Carbon Dividend Act of 2021, a bipartisan piece of legislation that would establish a federal carbon tax on producers of fossil fuels in order to reduce carbon emissions by roughly 45% by 2030 and 90% by 2050. Moreover, I co-sponsored a Green New Deal, which aims to achieve the greenhouse gas and toxic emissions reductions necessary to stay under 1.5 Celsius of warming. Protecting bodies of water from pollution and the impact of climate change is critical in ensuring the well-being of coastal communities and ecosystems and the health of our country as a whole. I remain committed to supporting legislation that will protect and monitor our nation's water. Thank you again for reaching out to me. I will keep your thoughts in mind while considering legislation on this matter. Representative Seth Moulton, Member of Congress.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Okay. For those that don't know, PFAs are man-made chemicals, and they're called or sometimes referred to forever chemicals. So just to clarify that. Thank you for that, George, and great stuff. So next on the agenda, we're gonna go back to the reports that I have now from Shannon. Give me one sec. My eyeballs. Okay, so COVID tests. There are free rapid COVID tests available at the health department counter, 2 per household until supplies last. Coat drive. The health department is accepting gently used or new coats to help those in need. All coats will be professionally cleaned by Anton's Cleaners before distribution, and they will be donated to the Salvation Army. And then regional health inspector update. Ariel resigned from this position last week. The health department is in the process of posting her job description. In the meantime, the grant is looking to hire a food consultant company to assist Tewksbury and Tingsboro in their food inspections. All right, so it looks like a future agenda item will be conflict of interest. Probably the next one, alongside with the fluoride, and whatever else shows up. And, and so, is there any other business or announcements that need to come before the board? I hear none. So our next meeting is December 19th at 6 p.m. here at the Town Hall. It's great to see some people in the audience. I hope people are actually watching as well on TV. Anyone entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Are we go?
Help me, I'm not sure what I'm asking, but when you come to the town hall meetings, could we read what you read? Or is that not appropriate?
You mean the packet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that usually is posted with the agenda online.
Online?
Yes, we do have like a public copy that you can probably like go through. And that, but everything would be online on the town's page, on the Tewksbury Towns page. You're
You
welcome.
can also feel free to call the health department a couple days before the meeting, and they'll try to get you a copy that we can have it available for anyone who wants one.
To the chair. The future agenda items is going to be, I'm just wondering, is conflict of interest going to be at the next meeting? I'm just
Yes,
asking.
we can put that on the,
Okay,
yeah.
because we had it in here. so-
Unless you want it pushed for a different meeting, so next meeting would be because we
Yeah, it's
voted on.
really not a big deal. It's just,
Okay, we'll just add that to like the board member comments.
thank you.
Okay. Is everyone okay with that?
That's fine.
Do we?
Come up the day of the meeting, or do they come up the day before the meeting?
They come up the previous Friday
Yeah,
before.
the previous,
The agenda is posted the Friday before the meeting, and then occasionally, if there are things that come up, they might be added. So we're getting the most recent version, but if you ask for it, at least after the Friday before the meeting, you should have almost, if not everything that we have.
everything.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting if there is no other business or announcements.
So moved.
I
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded twice by the members. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Tewksbury. It is 7:06. I appreciate everyone, and you have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much.